Hey there, Tamir from Fibonacci-Traders.com, your daily market recap, October 26, 2023. Like, subscribe. What a week we had. Crazy week. Started with two dojis to the upside. Continue with a very bearish sentiment to the downside. As you can see, this trend line is struggling to hold. 411 is next. Below it, 407 gap will get filled. More than 70% of the Nasdaq already posted earnings. We have Apple next week. We have AMD next week. QQQ 2% to the downside, breaking below the downtrend channel. Breaking below a downtrend channel is never a good sign. We're heading towards the 333 gap. You can also take Fibonacci, swing low, swing high. And here you have it. Fibonacci gives you everything that you need for future price action. Look at this. Swing high, swing low. And where price is now? Fibonacci extension support. 342.40. Below it, we are heading towards the 331. And of course, closing this gap to the downside. It's all about understanding in-depth candlestick analysis, the relationship between candlestick analysis, Fibonacci, and trend lines. Dow Jones breaking below the 328. All this area, very important area of support, breaking below the 328, closing the week below 328, 327. And we will see this gap, small gap at the 322, getting filled next week. IWM, not surprising, tried to get back above this trend line from support for the lower lows. Now, in the past few days, as you can see, resistance. Trend lines are the true support resistance for price action, and they are also our guide for future price action. 162 is the next support. Below it, we have this gap at the 156. Bearish land, bearish sentiment. Do not try to be a hero. There is a big difference between catching a falling knife and trying to buy the dip. Trying to catch a falling knife, you will get caught. You will get bruised. You will blow up your account. For now, no dip at sight. Downtrend until proven otherwise. Bitcoin struggling to hold above the 34 area. If bulls will give up on the 34 area, we are heading back to the 31,800. That was a very important area of resistance. So by natural things of price action, below 34 area, we are heading back to retest the 31,800 as support. Closing the week above the 34, and in my opinion, we are heading towards the 37 to the upside. Ethereum still below this purple trend line. Look left, lower highs, lower lows. Why price is here? Look left, we have another trend line that holds as resistance. Now acting as support. It's all about trend lines. Trend lines, Fibonacci, and pure price action, aka candlestick analysis on multi-time frames. Check the links in the description below before you take any other paid service. Check the Fibonacci Academy playlist, 25 videos, free academy on how to become a better trader each and every day, technical side, and most importantly, never neglect the psychology behind trading. In my opinion, 80% of trading is the psychology behind trading. Check it out. And of course, we have more links in the description below for more free or paid services. Check them out. Choose your own path. Crude oil, futures, CL1, resistance, support. Breaking below, no need to guess, we are heading towards the 77. Let's see, can we get continuation above this red zone, and then we will see once again the 89, 90 area, and then we are heading towards the 94. NG1 natural gas futures, what a gap to the upside, what a jump, but to where? To this trend line. You know this trend line, we drew this trend line way back, and once again onto this trend line. Continuation up, no need to guess. We are heading towards the 377 and then 420 to the upside. Now this gap got filled. Now we have another gap over here. This gap is still open, and if you look left, there are no open gaps on futures. None. 100% of all gaps on futures, whether they are on natural gas futures, oil futures, or any other futures. No open gaps. But as long as natural gas is above the 347, even above the 325 area, we're good to go. Long continuation. Amazon, beating all expectations, went up 5% towards the 125 area after hours. 5.3%. 5 is a Fibonacci number. Let's see if Amazon can stay and close the week above 123 area, very important area of support. And then maybe next week we will see long continuation on Amazon towards the 135 and then towards 143. Stay tuned because next week we have Apple. Today went down 2.5% and here we are, close the 167 gap. We have talked about this gap for a very long time, and we said this gap must get filled if bulls want to gain back their dignity. And here we are. This gap got filled. We have another gap over here, but for now, doesn't look like bulls are anywhere to be found. 170 from support now will become a very tough resistance. In my opinion, we will see down continuation towards this yellow trend line before earnings coming up next week for Apple. Microsoft 3.7% to the downside. Yesterday's earning gap got filled. Now all this area, the 325 area, very important area of support. As you can see, Fibonacci gives us it. We don't need to think. Fibonacci gives us everything below 327 area, and we are heading towards the 323 and then 310 to the downside. Google 2.6% to the downside. This gap got filled, but we have another gap to the upside over here. We have another gap over here, and we have a major gap at the 113. For now, looks like Google is giving back most of the uptrend. We already gave back the uptrend from July. In 2 days, all this uptrend from July's earnings, we gave back already 13% to the downside. Next is this gap, 20% to the downside. Don't be surprised if this gap will get filled anytime soon. It's another 7.5% to the downside, almost 8. And 8 is a Fibonacci number. It's all about Fibonacci. Meta, gap to the downside, holding the 286. The 286 is very important area of support. All this area, the 275 and the 286, very important area of support. Because what do we see? On a higher time frame, weekly time frame, we can clearly see multi-top scenario of the 328 area. This is the neckline. Breaking below the neckline, and we will get a steep downtrend towards the 230 area. We will see the same price action we saw over here to the upside. We will get the same price action, but to the downside towards 230, and we have a gap at the 214. This gap over here, 214 area. Tesla, 3.1% to the downside, holding barely. This downtrend line is a very important support for the lower lows, but it's a support. What happens if a downtrend gets broken to the downside? Steep fall towards where? No need to guess. Take Fibonacci. Fibonacci will give you everything. Look at this. Where price is now? Fibonacci. Below it, 187, 171, and with this triple top on a monthly time frame, always zoom out, zoom in to get a better point of your price action. Triple top, breaking below the 204. We are heading towards this 145 gap. Don't be surprised if this gap will get filled before the end of 2023. 28% more to the downside. For Tesla, it's another Tuesday. Went up 96% in 3 months. So going down 28% in 2 months. Another regular Tuesday for Tesla. Netflix holding above the 396 area, but as you can see, this trend line, all this area, very tough resistance, breaking below 397, and we will see these two gaps to the downside getting filled. Weekly close above this yellow trend line, above this yellow trend line. It's pretty far for 1 day for Netflix. So we need to watch 397 holding. Nvidia 3.5% to the downside, back to this red zone. We are talking about this red zone because this red zone is a very important resistance and, most importantly, support zone. Look at this. Weekly close below this red zone, and we will see 372 to the downside. Below 372, we are heading towards the 306. More than 90%, 85-90% of all gaps will get filled. We have, if you are a pattern trader, we have head and shoulders. Fibonacci traders, we don't rely on patterns because basically patterns are nothing to be relied on. Anyone can see anything that they want. But price action is price action. Everyone sees the same. Price action, support and resistance, gaps. Stay tuned for more volatility in Nvidia. Shopify, 3.7% to the downside. We said that once Shopify will break this red zone of support, it will get a very steep downtrend. Now where Shopify might be heading next? No need to guess. You know the drill. Take Fibonacci, and Fibonacci will let you know. You can take also Fibonacci from here. And where are we? Fibonacci next, 43, 47. Below 43, 47, we are heading towards the 41.60. AMD, 5 more days for AMD. Earnings, back inside this downtrend channel, breaking below the 95, we are heading towards this area, the 88. But we don't need to guess. First, we see that AMD is in a steep downtrend since the peak of June. Since the peak of June until today. %30 to the downside. Another 4%. We'll take it over here. 85. Swing low. Swing high. 86. You can take also Fibonacci from here. Recent low, recent high, recent low. 90 is next. 85. As we said. Why 85? How do we know it? %35 to the downside. It's all about screen time, experience. Fibonacci, trend lines. No need to guess anything. We want to resemble as much as we can to the machines, to the algos, to the computers, supercomputers that runs the market. And we are human beings. We think too much. We need to think less. This is why we have the one-on-one mentorship program or the pre-recorded online program. Both programs, lifetime access, support, guidance, all Discord channels. My promise to you, by the end of each program, choose one, only to choose two. You will become, first you will become a much better trader. You will understand in-depth candlestick analysis, trend lines, Fibonacci, multi-time frames, and you will be able to trade whatever you want. You want to trade Forex? Forex. Forex it is. It's all about trend lines, candlestick analysis, and Fibonacci. Here you have USD JPY. If we take Fibonacci on this trend over here, extension, where Fibonacci, where price is now, Fibonacci extension, JBP, JPY, what do we see? Trend line. Fibonacci, support, resistance, and if you're a pattern trader, left shoulder, head, and maybe right shoulder, short, and GBP JPY, starting short below the 181 towards this red, towards this yellow trend line, and as long as price is inside this trend line, we are heading south. We have GBP, USD. Let's take a look on the 1 hour. What do we see? Here you have it. Fibonacci gives us everything that we need. Short continuation below the 121, long continuation below the 121.17, long above 121.54. And of course you have trend lines to help you identify the trend. It's just an example. I'm thinking about starting to trade Forex just to prove that Fibonacci, trend lines, and in-depth understanding of candlestick analysis, aka price action, pure price action, you can trade whatever you want on any time frame that you want. Check the links in the description below and you will become a much better trader. Thank you very much for joining this video. Like, subscribe, share with friends, and until the next video, trade safe and please stay safe.